Welcome back to Life Unfiltered. I'm joined today with Chany Rosen, who is the founder and CEO of Cavalry Associates, which is a real estate expediting and design firm. But that's actually not why I brought her here today. We'll talk about that a little bit, but we met on Instagram. We instantly gravitated toward each other. We're in a little bit of a romance. And I just want to know more about your story, and I find you so interesting, and I think that my viewers will too.
Okay, so let's take it a step back as to like how it all started. So, truth out on the table, I've been stalking you for quite some time. Stalking you in the way where you turn on notifications when Adele posts a story, that kind of stalking, and I don't have time. I mean, I try to put my phone away, but your notifications are on when you post. So now you get the level of stalking.
Okay, that's
so
great.
It's next level. And I was like, could she say something wrong? Could she say something bad? Could she say something I disagree with, please? Because this is like getting too much. And then you just didn't and wouldn't. And I said, you know what? So I went onto your site, part of the stalking. I promise you, I know every page, every picture. Yes, it's that horrible.
I did not know this.
But that's the truth.
Okay.
At least I was like, kind of like whatever about it.
Right.
You know, like
you
I
were
wasn't
cool.
gonna,
You played it
I
cool.
tried playing it cool anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that worked. So I made a business consultation appointment with you.
That's right.
And then I was like, nah, I'm gonna get her over Zoom. I'm not doing it. No. I have to meet her in person. And I did hear from some of your stories that you sometimes come to New York, and I put it out there and I'm like, could these be in person, something like that? And you said, I usually do them over Zoom, this, that, and the other. I'm like, I kind of know that already. Could we do this in person, please? I didn't say it that way.
You were polite.
Yeah, I think so. I really worked hard on those emails, so I hope they sounded polite. You know the type where you write and then you rewrite them?
Yes.
I don't do that often.
I can't believe I'm finding this out right here now, because we went to dinner and you could have, I appreciate
so dinner
this.
was already too soon for me to come out like that. It had to be like a little more, okay.
Right.
So, and then during the week, like, we're both swamped, so that stays that. So here we are, me telling you all that dirty secrets. Okay.
So this leads me into my first question then.
Okay, so once I made an appointment with you, and then said in person, and then I was looking to get away anyway, and everything was closed down. I had just come back from Vegas. I was not impressed. The city was dead. And then I figured, you know what? Why don't I go? I don't know if I was gonna go to LA before or after. Bottom line, I was going to LA for a week, which I do every 2 months. I go somewhere else. And you were gonna see me in person. This was gonna be perfect. I probably packed 2 suitcases at that trip.
Why do you go away every 2 months?
Ooh. I need to remember why I'm doing what I do. And in order to do that, I need to get away from the office, I need to get away from the kids, I need to get away from the husband. I just need to get away from the world and just be in my own little bubble. Because sometimes on those really hard days, I say, why did I do this? Am I crazy? I shouldn't have never started this in the first place. Who asked you to have 5 children? Who asked you to get married this young? And who asked you to open a business? You know, like I really ask myself those questions. And I know that when I ask myself those questions, it's not really the truth.
Right.
It's just how I'm feeling in the moment. And I need to remember what those answers are. And I find that like it happens every 8 weeks. So before I even allow it to happen, I go and I do me. And then I come home and I miss doing it all at the same time.
Yeah.
Even though I love it while I'm away, I work the entire time. You will never see me by the pool without my laptop, or in a restaurant without my, like wherever I go, I'm working, I'm taking my laptop. If there's a time difference, I love it even more because I get to work when everybody's working and then there's still like day and light outside.
So how do you find yourself if you're taking yourself away, but you're still working?
Because the real like pressure that like where I lose it is when I want to be everything and I want to be everything well. I want to be a mom and I want to be a good mother. I want to be a wife and I want to be a good wife and I want to continue running my business, and that I don't know how to do not well.
Right.
So when I get overwhelmed, it's like I wish I could just do work and with no distractions. Imagine what that would look like. Imagine what I would accomplish. Like all those dreams, and I'm like, do it. Go and do it. And then I'm like, but I want my kids, and I FaceTime them, and I'm like, by the time I go home, let's just say I am very happy to swing back into doing it all, because just one part of it, I miss half my life.
Right. What do you feel like you're doing the best at right now? If I asked you today, because you said you want to do it all and you want to do it well. Right now, if I asked you today, Chanie, what are you doing the best at? What do you think it is?
Mom and wife. I feel like it's separated in two categories. I feel like when I'm doing business very well, I'm not doing mom and wife very well.
Okay.
I could sometimes do business and wife, but I cannot do business and mom both very well at the same time.
Okay.
And it does have its stages where, and right now it's mom and wife over business. I think because business is slow anyway,
Right.
so I'm like,
Right. I feel the same way too. I feel like I can't be excelling at work and being a great mom. Usually one of those things is coming in the way of the other.
when it does happen, I am a complete mess. Even though all that really, like the difference might be is like a bath for extra 30 minutes or, that manicure, that self-care. But when I'm doing both, I'm a complete mess and nobody wants to be my surrounding. Even though maybe, like I feel like I did right for my children, I did well for my husband,
Right.
and I did well in the business, but then me, myself, go away very far.
Do you think that, so I know you're one of 10 and you have 9 brothers, is that
Yes.
right? Do you think that made you like attributed some of your confidence, like just being the only girl among so many boys? Like were you like a princess in a way?
So yes and no. Yes, because I was definitely more than just just another girl in another family.
Right.
But no, because I find that my brothers have that confidence too, and I know it's coming from my parents.
Interesting.
My parents were always, you can do it. You want to do double? You can do double, easy. Oh, triple? Nah, that's a given. That you'll, like everything was normal and everything was acceptable and everything was like, you'll shine. And I actually had a really funny scenario where I'm starting my podcast now, and I sent my mother, the raw footage, and she's like, it's great, it's fabulous, it's so good. And then I go on telling her that like, this is not the final version, I'm editing out this, and she's like, oh, you're editing that, that's good. I'm like, wait, I thought it was perfect. So if I wouldn't have told her, then whatever it is would have been perfect, and she wouldn't have told me, you could edit that out, or it's a little too long, or anything like that. She would never do that.
Right.
But once I told her, she's like, oh, I hear that, I was thinking of that. I'm like, oh, thank you very much. So,
What did you want to be when you grew up? Did you have a working role model growing up? Was it out of because I don't know, I mean, you come from a ultra-orthodox background.
Right.
You're so career-oriented and so career-focused, but that's not really histologically how it happens.
No, absolutely
What did you want to, how, did you know
I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
And I wanted to be a specific teacher that I had when I was in the 7th grade. She was everything to me. I wanted to look like her, I wanted to speak like her, I wanted to dress like her. I think she was even like an older single. I think I wished that at that time to be an older single.
I want to be an older single.
You want to be an older
That's a thing,
single?
yeah.
Okay.
I just feel like your life belongs to you as an older single.
Yes and no, because I probably wouldn't be where I am right now, and I don't want to be anywhere else than I am right now.
Okay.
So, no.
Right.
But at that time, I did. I wanted to be everything she was, and I was a teacher. And
So you went on to teach.
yeah, I've been teaching for many years, probably 5 or 6 years. But then I had a household, and I had 3 kids under the age of 3, and I needed another source of income. So I took this part-time job that my friend recommended to. She was working there full-time. Loved it, lived it, was obviously very good at it. The next year, my boss convinced me to drop my teaching job. It was easy. And I did that for 2 years, loved it. I realized that there was like a whole world out there that, and I'm very good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it.
What are you most proud of today?
So many things I'm proud of. I'm joking. I need to find something.
No, there could be more than one.
No, so a lot of things that other people are like, wow, you did that, but that came naturally to me. So I'm trying to find something that went against, me, and I excelled at it. I think finding balance. I don't know how to find balance. I'm black, white, gray is not a pretty color.
Right.
You know, so I think I'm the most proud of being able to find the balance, even though I never wanted to. And I still don't want to, and I still struggle with it. So every time I manage to find that balance, I'm pretty freaking proud.
It's interesting you say that, because one of my questions is actually about, like, you're so amped, you're so high energy, you're sort of like a radical person. I was gonna ask you if you almost even have like an addictive personality, because usually when I find this like kind of larger than life, confident, I always feel like there's this like...
So there's definitely a little bit of OCD, which is, you know, like in the realms of addiction.
Right.
Alcohol is my best friend. I mean, I can't say I'm an alcoholic because that would be horrible, but if somebody would tell me, I would think you have an addictive personality, I would probably respond, you're probably in the right, you know, thinking in the right direction.
Because I feel like, just from what I know about you, I'm like, this girl I think has an addictive personality. And I could say that because I have one too.
Yeah. I probably do, but thankfully it didn't portray itself in anything like alcohol or cleanliness or whatever it is that...
So where have you found the greatest balance?
Being me and letting go at the same time. I thought that was not possible.
So that was gonna be one of my questions, which is, do you face a lot of judgment?
All the time. All the time.
By whom? Like, who's judging?
Everybody about something else.
Right.
So for example, the people that I'm in business with, they're like, 5 kids, why? The people that, you know, are like,
do they say that to you?
Most don't, but a lot of say it in a very indirect way. You should probably get home to your kid.
Oh.
Huh.
No.
Really? Yeah, no. Definitely. I said, no, I was actually planning to have dinner. Would you like some? Like, basically, you know.
Right. You're in a male-dominated industry.
Yes.
It's not a secret.
And I love it.
Right. So you feel like it gives you an advantage?
I feel like I'm home. So, you know, sometimes, you know, between the girls.
Right.
Let's just say I'm not a girl between the girls.
You're not a girl's girl.
I'm not a girl's girl.
Right.
And sometimes they're like, why do you say that? And, you know, sometimes they're all looking at me to say that what only Chany will say. So, yes, it's a male-dominant industry, but I feel very comfortable in the industry. Versus, you know, if I would go to shopping or this or that, I'm like, yes, no. What do you need to think about? Does it fit? Do you like it? Do you not like it? How can't you make up your mind about that, you know? So that's where I have the problem, and I'm like the outcast versus in my industry.
Do you feel like there's almost like a cap or a ceiling on what you might be able to do because of all this judgment? Like, there's a step you want to take that you don't take because fear of judgment, or even family, community obligations. Do you think it's gonna give you a cap, or are you gonna be like, no, like the sky's the limit? I
think I'm finally gonna say something that, okay, so Mishpacha, you know, the Jewish magazine that comes out weekly, it did an interview. And I answered a lot of questions, arranged in about an hour, and, you know, they were gonna release every week something else or whatever. They released one of them already, and then when it came to the second release, I didn't let them do it.
Really?
Yes, and that was for the sake of my children. So one of the things that I was writing about was, why can't we all be loving and caring people? Like, why do I have to be, like, behave differently just because of what you might say? Why do you make assumptions without knowing? And every time I read it, I felt like I was apologizing. And I said,
really? Because that sounds like accusatory, not apologetic to me.
No, it sounded like I was trying to tell the whole world, I'm really a good person, and I'm really normal, and I'm really just like you. And, and I don't want to have to do that. And even if I find myself doing it because it's the truth, I wasn't going to come out with that. I wasn't going to say, please, can you see me as if I'm everybody else? No, don't. Do whatever you want to do.
And what do you mean by everybody else?
So people right away assume that my children eat or don't eat a certain type of dinner, or that I do or don't, you know, like, it's just everything would come with an assumption.
Yeah.
And there's really no reason for it, because I would hear from my children, just like, why wouldn't you assume about any other woman that walks the street that they were able to take care of their kids this morning versus me.
Right.
Was she able to take care of her kids this morning? How? I know she had a meeting. Why do you assume that the other person walking down the street was able to without her meeting?
So it bothers you, it gets to you.
It bothers me to no end because I feel like it comes from a lack of love for one another. And you don't have to love me, but don't hate on me, and especially for no reason.
Where do you think some of that, do you think that community members are just sort of like afraid, like if lots of people are like Chanie, where they can kind of conquer the world and do it all, then?
I don't think they're afraid. I think a lot of it comes from jealousy.
Okay.
And the other one just comes out of being very traditional, really not jealous, but really out of concern, which I guess is nice. Let's just say,
do you think it's genuine concern?
My mother-in-law is very concerned for me.
Right, well, mother-in-laws are.
And I love her,
a great
and
amount of concern.
I think she is genuinely concerned about me and my kids because she's very traditional in that sense. And she doesn't know how to, accept that I'm fine, that her grandchildren are fine, and that her husband, that her son, my husband, is fine, beyond fine, just really happy. And I think that comes from genuine concern. So, yeah, it's a different generation.
I agree. What do you think are some of the greatest attributes to your success? Like, what are some of the, was it your parenting, your parents? Was it, the 7th grade teacher?
I would definitely say that 50% of it for sure is my parents. And I think that the other 50% is God-given. It's personality, it's drive. It's like, somebody's like, how are you so driven? I'm like, I don't have the kind of struggles that you have because being driven comes easy to me, and sometimes, for others it does not.
So what are some of your pitfalls? What slows you down?
Distractions.
Like?
Instagram. Adele just posted something. I have to go check what she's doing.
Right.
That's definitely one. I love meeting new people. And I think that that's definitely a distraction for me, but I'm not trying to get rid of it. I think it's a healthy distraction. Just too many times I get disappointed.
Right.
Which is like, really, you had to waste all that time just to find out that, So that's another distraction. But then I get over that quickly and I learn from it and I don't make the same mistake twice.
Right.
It will be a new one, but it won't be the same one.
Right. What keeps you up at night?
Definitely the kids.
Like physically?
No,
or worrying about
physically,
them?
No, physically they're really taken care of. But did they have enough?
Right.
Did they get it all? Could I have done better? Should I have done more? And
What's the general resolution that you come to? Do you feel
that they must have gotten more than some ordinary girls may have gotten?
Right. Are you good at self-soothing? Can you calm yourself down when you're in a tizzy? Right.
I'm such a negative. If it's bad, I could find a million other reasons, which is not bad for that yet, but why it will become worse.
Right.
Definitely not pessimistic. But you know what? I feel like it helped me a lot in business because I thought of the worst and I thought of how to address the worst before it even happened. So even if something bad happened, I've already thought it's going to be a lot worse.
Yeah.
So if it was only bad, totally, I could deal with this.
I do the same thing. I go to worst case scenario. What's the worst thing that could happen? You go to the worst thing, it's usually not that bad.
Exactly. And if it's bad, I already took care of the worst. So I could definitely take care of what's bad. And I really feel that people, they're like, think positively. And I'm like, and hide your head in the sand? Why?
Well, I think there's a delicate balance between hiding your head in the sand and thinking positively, but I totally get what you're saying. You want to play out every scenario.
I want to play out every scenario. And then, so I'm in business with my brother. So every time my brother is like, this is good, these numbers, I said, wait, we're only on March 21st. And you have to understand that this is only because February was a short month. And I'm going on and on. He's like, honey, couldn't you just let it be good for a moment there?
Yeah. Do you allow yourself to feel successful? Do you give yourself that time to feel that, or are you always more?
I'm always more.
And where does it come from? Or are you just gonna always be like this? You were born that way?
Yeah. I think I'm always gonna be like that. If I got to this, then I could definitely get there. So why are you only here? Kind of.
I torture myself with the same thing.
Yeah, but I could find myself going to the mirror, Chanie, you're absolutely fabulous. And I'm just like, you're so good.
Well, you are fabulous.
Thank you. No, but I don't know if I'm actually feeling fabulous in the moment, or no, it's usually I have to actually feel that way to tell that to myself.
What do you think is the greatest driving force for your wanting for the success and the wanting success? Like, is it like I'll show them, or community upbringing, or like what drives you? Because it's more than just like I wake up in the morning and I want to be successful. It's like, what's the driving force?
So it's definitely not I want to show anybody. It's definitely not that. I think it's a dream I created. And as that dream becomes more and more true, the dream changes to bigger and better.
Right.
And it's like, and then I'm like, but honey, your dream was only this and you got there, but I will never allow myself to remember the real dream. I will try to, focus on what that dream is right now.
Yeah. Do you think you'll ever be happy with where you're at?
Probably not. Now that I think about it, I've never thought about it actually, but probably not. Even though I keep telling myself, okay, like this is the dream, like this is what I want. If I'm gonna be honest, no. If I'm not happy right now, I mean, I'm not unhappy, but if I'm not happy enough right now, then why would I ever be?
Right. And you like being a female in this, like, you like the position that you're sort
attention.
Do you think, well, me too.
It's shocking to people. I shock people when I open my mouth, and people are, I kind of love it, which makes me shock them even more with the way I'm feeling in that moment, and then I just blow them out of the water, and that's the best feeling ever. Just surprising people.
I love that.
Yeah, too honest.
Did you always, like, even as a kid, you loved attention?
Yeah.
Do you think that's one of the motivators for you?
Probably. Because whatever dream life it is, or whatever dream it is at the moment, it's always about the attention from that.
I wish more people were kind of honest about that. I always feel like we get all these stories about success.
Right,
it's like
but
people like attention.
Yes. If people would not like attention, and maybe that's why it's there. If people would not like attention, why would they like aspire to be anyone or anything?
I agree.
It's
hide in the woodworks.
Who hides in? Nobody wants to hide.
No, I'm saying if you didn't want the attention,
so
you wouldn't.
This is one thing that's really like, some people are like, I'm not gonna say that. I'm like, who is it? Why not?
Right.
What's wrong? Was it not her idea?
Yeah.
Why doesn't she want to say it? Like, I never believe it. I mean, I assume that there are people like that.
Yeah.
But I'm always like, she probably stole the idea from somewhere and she doesn't want to come out with it.
Well, she probably stole it from me. Everybody steals my ideas. How do you use being a woman to your advantage? I mean, do you go soft when you need to go soft? Are you so acutely aware at all times that you're usually surrounded by men and then use that to your advantage? Or no?
So I think the biggest
No, honey?
No. I'll explain where it comes in. Okay. So this woman walks in and she's dressed up and she's, trying to obviously put on an impression, but then her mouth opens.
Right.
And it's like, no blockage, it just comes flooding. And they're like, her? Like, who else is in the room?
Oh, you're talking about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's definitely you.
So it's not where I'm like, I'm a woman, I'm trying to be all fine. It's just an assumption that people automatically have.
Right.
And then when I start talking or when I put my ideas forth, it's just not woman ideas.
Right.
And it's just not a woman's way of speaking, which would be more feminine, more reserved, maybe more. No, I speak the language, I walk the walk. I maybe don't talk the walk. I don't know how to say it. But
do you think you have a lot of masculine energy?
1,000%. So my father used to say, I don't know, I have 10 brothers, one of them wears a skirt. I have 10 sons, one of them wears a skirt. So he used to tell my brothers, I'm like you guys, just, hear it.
Yeah.
So yes, I think
that's one of the reasons that we got on so fast is that masculine energy pairing, I think.
Don't they usually say that you are like attracted to opposites? So if I'm masculine, you're
Well, it's not an opposite thing. I just think it's like an energy. It's like meeting you at your energy, whereas probably a lot of women are either intimidated by you or they don't understand why there's so much Chany.
Wait, but then they try to understand?
Yeah, no.
I already saw that you didn't understand after my first sentence. Please don't try again.
Right.
Don't try to repeat it back to me so I would think you understand it. I know that you don't. And that's so heartbreaking.
Do you carry a lot of guilt around working so much with the kids?
I used to. A lot of therapy.
Okay.
And I'm past it. Meaning to say, even on those days where I'm like, that was not fair to the kids, you didn't think about them. Even on those days, I'm like, honey, and that's fine too.
Right. I love
and
that.
it took a really long time for me to get here.
Yeah. How long?
3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's your parenting style? Hands on, hands off? Fall, get up, brush it off, kid?
So I used to be okay, you just said a lot of words, which I don't know what it really means. But
Well, like hands off is more like you're not as doting, you're not hovering over them.
I'm definitely not hovering. I wouldn't even know how to.
Okay.
I used to be like, you fell, get up, take a Band-Aid and go on, you know, like
Right.
whatever your Band-Aid made. But I changed because I realized not all my kids are like me.
Yeah.
And they need that space for it to be allowed and for it to be permitted, which is still very hard for me. I'm like, stop crying. And then I'm like, Shayla, are you really upset about that? You know, like,
Right.
So that's, again, something that I'm still working on.
Right.
But I feel like it changes with each kid in each stage. I need to be something else for them at that moment.
Right.
And continuous therapy allows you to fluctuate like that with whatever is needed.
Yeah. What do you do for fun?
Oh, definitely.
Well, I know
going
what
out
we're
to
gonna do
eat.
for fun.
Going out to eat is definitely my thing. I like to be around food. I like to drink. Alcohol is definitely my let go.
What's your drink of choice?
Red, dry wine.
Okay.
And if we're really having a good time, it would be like shots and vodka, and, you know. Yeah, but you know what? I just like meaningful conversations over good food and red wine.
Love it.
That's my go-to.
Yeah. When your inner critic is talking to you, do you have a strong inner critic? What's it usually saying to you?
You knew you shouldn't have done that. Why did you do that? Why are you doing that?
Really?
Yeah, because my gut is very, very strong. So as I'm doing something that I don't want to do, I know how much I don't want to. It's not like it's a mistake that I catch off, I'm like, I shouldn't have done that.
Right.
It's while I'm doing it, like, you are going to regret this, and yet you're still doing it, and you're not gonna stop, and, you know, but
Right.
That's probably what it's telling me.
Okay, I like that. I mean, it's fair enough. Fair enough answer. I don't like the inner critic, but
It's there. Who are you gonna kid?
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So what's the 5-year plan for Cavalry, for your business? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What would you like to do with your business in 5 years? You've done a lot in a short amount of time.
Yeah, so the next so we do have a 10-year plan. We didn't break it up in 5s. We break it up in 10 to 3 and 1. It's the OS system,
Right,
whatever.
right.
But my immediate goal is finding the who's, they call it.
Yeah.
You could tell it's a lot of books read.
Yeah, a
but
lot of books
basically, finding the right people that I could count on. In other words, stop counting on yourself only, because you are very capable, but not that capable. So you're gonna have to give up control, and who do you want to give up the control to? So it's really finding the who's is what's my immediate goal, and I think with that, my 10-year plan is done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, honestly, my last question is, any advice for women listening? Like, maybe women that are trying to do something, break out of their own personal, I want to call it their own version of their community, or, because you've done some pretty radical things for where you come from, and that has to be acknowledged.
Right, but the truth is, with doing all those things, I'm still very much part of my community. Meaning to say, I do take it and them and whatever into consideration. My husband, he davens in that shul every Shabbos, and
Right.
he's very much, and my kids go to the same school that I went to.
Right.
And I had choices, I had options, and I didn't want to. I loved what I've become, and I wanted them to go through, you know, like, it was like, summer school. I said, yes, summer school, because if they made me, then they could make my children what I would want my children to become.
Right.
So, I think that people think they need to break free of the community in order to achieve their goals. I want to tell them that it's not either or. It could be both, and finding the fine line.
But yes, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a minute
Please.
here on that. Because I feel when you've reached a certain level of success, it's easy to say that that's the truth. But do you feel that you'd have the same amount of options and flexibility and wiggle room that you get in your community if you weren't as successful as you are? Like if you were just a woman that just wanted to get a career and you were doing all the things, because you pushed the envelope a little bit, right?
With what?
Well, your wig is certainly a bit more right? The lace front and some hair, right? You have
Right.
Okay, even
So
to your nail, down
that's-
to your nail polish, you push the envelope.
Right, but that would have happened even if I wasn't in my career.
Right.
Because I always was like, take me back to high school, which if I look at those pictures now, I would go,
So you always
but that
had a
was
lip-
stylish then.
Right.
And everybody wanted to know where Chany was buying her shirts because we
Right.
were only able to buy shirts at that time.
Right.
And I have a way of making things that are uber yunchy, uber posh.
I don't even know what Yanchi is, but it sounds cute.
No, a yanchi, taking something that's really not cute,
okay.
but has to be, and making it cute with putting it, my own style to it.
Right.
I'm very happy that Maxi is in style because I have a hard time with my lengths. So, no.
So you don't feel like you're treated a little bit differently than, say, some women that wanted to go against the grain?
So it really depends on where you come from. My mother, when I told her, okay, so she's also a little bit Israeli, but when I told her, like, do you like this wig? It's a new concept, it's a lace. She's like, genius, who thought of this? And my mother-in-law was like, this goes against everything.
Right.
So, I wouldn't be able to go against my mother and against my mother-in-law. The seams that I wear, I would never take that off.
Right, so then...
I would never drive.
Right, so, and you don't drive now, do you?
I don't.
Right. So then, like...
And I never will because I know it's something that my father really did not want me to do.
Right.
So yes, you may see the lace front, but for me, for my family, my mother thought it was uber genius and brilliant, whoever came up with it.
So how do people forge their own way and become a Chany in their own life if their mother and their mother-in-law is difficult? Or their parents are not accepting and the school's not gonna give them a warning when their kids have internet?
Right, so for me, it's very hard if I ever do anything that my mother-in-law wouldn't do herself or wouldn't approve of. It is so difficult, so I really understand it because you really want to be good. Nobody's looking to be bad.
Well, good in quotes, because good for Borough Park is not good universally.
Exactly, so I mean to say good as in, I want to be good for my mother-in-law, I want to be good for my mother, but that's two different things. But regardless, I still want to be good for each of them.
Right.
And you won't always.
Right.
And
I mean, there will be people listening that will not understand that concept on any, like even me, I'm not even gonna make it about the people. Me listening right now, I can't understand that at all.
Right,
because
so how I like to explain it, was there ever something in your parents' house that was a complete no-no?
Right, yeah.
Did you go and do it anyway?
Yeah.
Would you, and your friends, in your friend's house, it was totally acceptable. Like, Ma, I'm going to do it anyway. Why can't you just make it acceptable? I don't want to do something that's bad, but I want to do this. It's the same concept. Everybody wants to be good. And when you're not good, you don't feel the best. But there's always, you're not going to be good for someone. Hopefully, it's not someone that matters too much.
Right.
But then when it is painful. There's no question about it. So how I do it, because my parents are one thing and my mother-in-law is something else, my mother-in-law always tells my husband, Mr. Bachner, like she makes fun. And to me that's hurtful because I'm so proud of my, Bachner name and what that means. So to me, what I've done for myself that I feel really helped me is, what do you see your kids, your family looking like in 20 years from now?
Yeah.
When all else won't matter, when you'll have to marry them off, when they'll have children of their own, what are they going to do for their kids? What do you want it to look like? And then come back to what your families want and see what line you'll tread, because you're always not going to be good for somebody, but don't let that take you over the edge and just do anything just because you're not good anyway.
And since you're talking about your family, I think I want to just ask you, your father passed away in COVID.
Yes.
What's life been like for you post? I mean, because I think you were very close with your father, right?
I was extremely close to my father, and I only recently became close to him. My father was in prison for 2.5 years, and then he was very, very sick. So when I was about 16 is when I really, had that, made that connection with my father, and it became...
We're
so alike.
Yeah.
So alike. And we really connected on all levels. And you know what? It would be the kind of conversation where I would be, Tati, I know you really want this. I want to be good, but this is so hard for me. I could have had that conversation with him. And now he's gone. And I need to find somebody else to have that conversation with.
maybe that conversation happens with you.
Now it does,
Right.
but it's always good to know that you have that person that you trust and that trusts you and that believes in you and won't answer you in a way that is pre-calculated.
Did your mom step into your dad's role at all?
Yes and no. Yes, in the way where all the things I used to ask my dad, I now ask her, but knowing the way she's not changing and the way she's giving the responses, which I respect. She's not trying to become my father because my father was my father and my mother is my mother, and they both have, beautiful parts of themselves. So even though I try to replace her, with my father but she's just being her.
Yeah.
Which is nice, but also, let's just say that even if she would try to step in for my father, she wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
Right.
Which I think is very smart of her. But it's going to be a year now, and I think during the year I was taking care of everybody else.
Yeah.
But now I'm gonna use the upcoming year to mourn for myself, because I lost my everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
What's that gonna look like for you? I don't know that you're
It's
so
gonna-
good at
it's-
taking time for yourself. It's
No,
gonna be
so it's gonna
interesting
be
to
a
watch.
lot of therapy.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be therapy. I think it's gonna have to become where I better understand what it is that I got from my father and figure out, I know he cannot be replaced and I know there's always going to be that void, but it shouldn't be something that after a year is still daily tati. Where are you? How can, I wanna get over the anger. I wanna get over the I can't cope without you experiences. And I think that in order for me to do that, I need to better understand who and what he was for me.
Yeah.
Because I only did get to know him really later in my life. So,
Did he get to see you when you had this success when you
Yes.
built your company?
and he was so proud. And I have some voice notes saved, and I replay it for myself every time I do something big.
I love that.
Yeah. That's heavy.
Life is heavy.
Yeah.
We had heavy conversations pretty early on. I mean,
It doesn't go without heavy with me. I mean, to me, it's shoot for the arrow,
Yeah.
go for that. If not, don't go at all. And I think that that's why I find the person and I go hard, because there are so few
Yeah.
that are able to either hold it or be it or, yeah.
Do you have a best friend?
I do now. So it went up and down. Somebody that may have been my best friend at a certain time in my life
Yeah.
did not grow along with me, or we grew apart because of the different, dynamics of our lives and the different things that we each went through.
Right.
And I felt that at some point she couldn't anymore understand the things I was talking about. I do have one very close friend, and even though I haven't spoken to her for about 3 months now, but our experience has been is that every time we did reconnect, it was as if no time has elapsed, which is very interesting to me. And I keep thinking with every period that passes, I'm will we still be able to? So far, we were, but I guess time will tell.
Because I'm into friends, as a lifestyle.
Yeah, but I feel you have a lot of different friends of
Yeah.
all calibers, meaning to say really close ones, this is a chill friend, this is this
Yeah.
friend. I don't have that.
Yeah.
I have one friend and it's my giant heart,
Yeah.
it's everything and that's it. But maybe that's why I don't have any or that many.
Do you consider your husband a best friend?
A best friend? No. Are we definitely very, very good friends? Yes. Very different than, what it was when we first got married. And I think we have a way to go to become best friends, but I believe we'll get there one day.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, seeing, all what we've been, what we've gotten to, I could only imagine that if we continue on this path, we'll get there.
Beautiful.
It's something that I definitely strive for.
I think you'll make it one of your goals on your paper.
Oh, it is already. How do you know? Don't read my goals off like a checklist.
Chanie, thank you so much for doing this with me today. I'm so impressed with you in general as a person, and just getting to know you has been so fascinating, and I'm enjoying it, and I really, really appreciate you coming out here and doing this with me and like opening up.
Coming from you, it means everything. Thank you.
I want to give you a hug over here.
Now we can ruin our makeup, can we?
No, we're not gonna ruin our makeup.
All right.